All right, so we're going to look at solving some systems. So for this question, we need to find our x and y values that would make both equations true. So we're trying to find the point where they would cross. And so looking at the system, something that we should notice is it is already lined up for us. Our x's are lined up, our y's are lined up, our equal signs, and our constants. And if we were to use elimination, our x's would go away. We have a positive 3x and a negative 3x. And so we're going to use elimination for this one. So we're going to draw a line and we're going to add each column. So when we add each column, our x's go away, so we can cross those out. And then we have negative 2y plus 4y, which is a positive 2y. And then we bring down our equal sign, and we have 39.9 plus a negative 51.9, which is a negative 12. So now we have an equation that we can solve. So we want to divide both sides by 2. And we end up getting y equals a negative 6. Once we have this, we want to plug that back in so we can find our x value. So I'm going to plug it into the top equation because the numbers look smaller and there's less negatives. And so we have 3x minus 2y equals 39.9. So we're going to plug in negative 6 in for y. So we have 3x minus 2, but we're going to plug in negative 6 for y inside parentheses and then bring down everything else. So equals 39.9. When we simplify this, we can multiply the negative 2 times the negative 6. So we have 3x plus 12 equals 39.9. And then to solve for x, we want to subtract 12 from both sides. So 39.9 minus 12 is 27.9. So we have 3x equals 27.9. Then we want to solve for x. So we're going to divide both sides by 3. And we get an x value of 9.3. I'm going to write it over here. So x equals 9.3. And so our final point, we write in parentheses. So we have 9.3 is our x value. And then negative 6 is our y value. So this is our final solution. This is the point that they have in common. That's the point where they intersect. So we're going to look at another example. So for this one, we want to solve for x and y as well. And so there's a couple things that I noticed. And one of them is everything is lined up. We have our y's, our equal signs, our x's, and our constants. But I also noticed we have y by itself. And so for this one, we are going to use substitution because we have a variable by itself. Because if we wanted to use elimination, because they are lined up, if we added the columns, neither variable will be eliminated. So we're going to use substitution for this. And so we're going to put a box around the first one, and that is equal to y. So all of that is going to go into y into the second equation. And so what that looks like is we have our negative 10x plus 23.5. And then that's going to equal the 20x minus 39.5. And so really we're setting them equal to each other because they're both equal to y. And so now we can go ahead and solve. So we want to get all of our variables onto one side. So I'm going to move the negative 10x So the opposite of that would be to add 10x to both sides. So those end up canceling. And what we have left is 23.5 equals 30x minus 39.5. Then I want to get my only variable left, which is that x next to the 30, by itself. And so to start, I'm going to get rid of my 39.5. And so the inverse of subtraction is addition. So I'm going to add 39.5 to both sides. So those end up canceling. And we get 63. So we get 63 equals 30x. So now we can go ahead and solve for x. So we want to divide both sides by 30. And so we're going to actually do it over here. So we have 63 equals 30x. And we can divide both sides by 30. So 63 divided by 30 gives us a positive 2.1. And so we have our x value. And we need to go back in and find our y value. So it doesn't matter which equation we plug it into. For this one, I'm going to do the second one. So we have y equals 20x minus 39.5. And so we have y equals 20 times 2.1 minus 39.5. And we can actually type this whole thing into our calculator. So 20 times 2.1. We type it with the parentheses, and we're going to subtract the 39.5. And we get y equals a positive 2.5. And so our final answer, written as a point, would be a positive 2.1, comma, a positive 2.5. And so this is our solution. This is the point where they intersect. And so we did an elimination, which was the first one, and then we did a problem using substitution, which was this one.